What's up, guys? This is the Honest Outlaw here, and today we're going to be talking about my Wilson Combat. This is the Wilson Combat Ultralight Carry. This one is a Commander Compact. Now, what that is it is essentially a smaller frame with a longer slide, and it makes it a little bit easier to carry. This pistol comes in 45 ACP and 9mm. Mine is in 9mm, no surprise there if you watch my channel. The capacity is 7 rounds, barrel length 4.25, overall length about 7.8 inches. The height is 4.9 inches, width is 1.3. Total weight while empty is 28 ounces. Total weight loaded about 35 ounces, and the accuracy guaranteed is 1.5 inches at 25 yards. Aluminum round butt frame, 30 lines per inch high cut checkering, an aluminum mainspring housing, G10 starburst grips, a countersunk slide stop, a carbon steel slide, a flush fit reverse crown barrel, a fluted chamber, and some other really awesome stuff we'll talk about in a second. But why did I buy this pistol? I can tell you that the allure was too much for me not to. I love 1911s. They're my guilty pleasure. I have to admit, I'm biased about those pistols over almost any other pistol just because I grew up with them. They're America's handgun as far as I'm concerned, and I love them. I love the way they look, and I can shoot them pretty well as well. So when I think of custom handguns, I think of Wilson Combat. I've heard for years at how good Wilson Combat is. I've seen tons of YouTube videos about how awesome they are, about how they're more than worth the exorbitant price that you pay for them. And if you're going to carry one 1911, that you should carry a Wilson Combat because it just is the most reliable, accurate gun in the world. Now, that's why I bought it, not to mention it looks really awesome. So let's get into the categories of review really quick, and we'll talk about accuracy. Now, it's 1.5 inches guaranteed at 25 yards. This pistol is very accurate, and it does shoot very small groups. However, it doesn't shoot where you aim, which is kind of a disappointment as far as I'm concerned. It looks amazing. The sights are awesome. I mean, I guess they're okay. They would be a lot better if they were in the correct spot. Now, if you guys have seen my channel, maybe you guys, some of you watching this video haven't, but I can shoot okay. If you put a target at 25 yards, I can hit that with a handgun. I can hit a IPSC target at 100 yards relatively easily, even with a pistol of this size. So for me to start firing at a target, especially with my tried and true 1911, and not be hitting something, I was a little surprised. So when I moved up, I was still having some trouble shooting plates, things like that. So I put it on paper. Now, I don't shoot a lot of paper, but I do definitely shoot some, especially when I'm practicing my accuracy. You know, the paper doesn't lie. So when I went out and shot paper, I realized that I was shooting very tight groups. However, they were not where I was aiming. Right about 6 inches low. And now they weren't to the left, they weren't to the right, they were always almost exactly 6 inches below where I was aiming. And what that tells me is they simply put the wrong size sights on this gun. Now, again, I'm not an absolute expert, but that's what it tells me. And if that is the case, how did that happen with a gun with an MSRP of $4,000? Honestly, if you pay this much for a handgun, the heaven's gate should open and you should have a bunch of strippers hand you this gun. Like, I just don't understand how that could have happened with a gun of this quality and this craftsmanship if they just managed to put the wrong front sight on this firearm. Now, I don't know if that's exactly what happened, but that's what it appears, because again, shooting very small groups, just not where I'm aiming. So it's a little weird. You could chalk up 5, 6, 7 of those up to a bad trigger pull, maybe pulling it down a little bit, especially with a smaller gun, but they wouldn't all be in the exact same spot every time. In this case, these were. Other than the sights being off, the sights are extremely high quality. I would prefer night sights, honestly, on this pistol, especially for something with carry in the name. If you put out a gun that has carry in the name, it implies that you should concealed carry it, and honestly, that's what I was going to do with this pistol. So I would have preferred night sights, and not only night sights, but I would have preferred extremely high quality night sights, something like the brand new Trijicon HDs. I really love those. I'll have a review on those coming out soon. Honestly, for a gun that the MSRP is between $3,000 and $4,000, I actually got this for $2,700 on the used market on Gunbroker. But for a gun of this quality, I think it should have the best of everything. That's just my personal preference. One thing that it doesn't let you down on is the trigger. You know, all 1911 triggers are good. This one is pretty exceptional. As far as ergonomics go, the texturing and grip panels are great. They really are. When I picked this gun up, it melted right into my hand. Awesome for as small as it is. It's got a really firm purchase on the gun, and you can fire quick shots relatively easily. So a lot of that is that awesome checkering that I talked about earlier when I was talking about the features. Some of it has to do with these grips. These grips are pretty awesome. These are Wilson Combat Starburst grips. They come in a bunch of different colors. If I decide to keep this gun after I send it back to Wilson Combat and have some of the problems I'm going to have fixed that I'm talking about here, which I guarantee they will fix. Now, keep that in mind when I'm saying bad things about this gun. All the things that I don't like on this, I will send it back to Wilson Combat, and I guarantee they will fix it. That's a good thing about having a quality company like this make your gun. The grip safety was not an issue. I think that's because it's a commander size gun. Sometimes with my 1911 shooting, I can go up so high that I'll let this grip safety loose, and honestly, if I decide to keep this gun, I'll probably have that pinned, but the grip safety was not a problem. The safety itself, very, very positive. I'm going to have a safety on my gun. This one is perfect. There's serrations on the entire back of the gun to prevent glare, plus serrations on top to prevent glare as well. That's a really nice touch, really well done. I know Wilson Combat doesn't like to do front side serrations because they like to keep it kind of classic, but I would have preferred those, especially for the price. Mag release is awesome. I had no problems with it at all. Really well done. It's even got a cutout in the grip for it, which is nice as well. The one magazine that you get, again, a big knock for me. I think for a gun of this price, I should have got like 4 magazines. Now that could be because I got it on the used market, but the one magazine that you get comes out extremely fast, extremely positive, which is awesome. Wilson Combat mags are very high quality. I just wish they would have came with a couple more. The round butt that they do is awesome. Is it as good as something like a Dan Wesson where they have the actual entire part of the grip cut off? I don't know. One really cool thing about this gun is this reverse crown barrel. Man, this makes this thing look super sharp. It's a little bit dirty right now because I do shoot my guns, but it looks really sharp, really awesome. As you can see, totally flush with the slide there, and then just a reverse crown makes it look really awesome and super classy. The reliability on this gun, I have to admit, I was not impressed. I wasn't. For a gun of this price, you know, especially with the Wilson Combat name, I expected it to be more reliable than it was. I'm not saying that it wasn't reliable. It was just not as reliable as some of the other 1911s that I have owned in my life. Springfield comes to mind, Colt, Dan Wesson, all of those were more reliable than this gun was. Now, is that a knock on the 1911? Is that a knock on Wilson Combat? Is that a knock on smaller frame 1911s? Now, you have to remember that the smaller you go in 1911s, from my experience, and the further away you get from the original old Browning design, the less likely you are to have a perfectly reliable gun. So this is a smaller framed 9mm 1911, which is about as far away from the original design as you could possibly get. Is that the reason why I'm having some reliability issues? Maybe. For, again, the price of this gun, which I'm going to keep talking about because this is one of the most expensive guns I've ever bought, and I did buy this. I really think they should iron those out. Now, another thing with custom, very high-end 1911s is they usually sacrifice a little bit of reliability for accuracy. A company like Les Baer comes to mind when you hear about that. Now, I'm not saying those guns aren't reliable, but I'm just saying sometimes you may get one that's a little bit less reliable, so it'll shoot those really, really tiny groups. For me, especially for a carry gun, something advertised as a carry gun, I don't think they should have done that. If a gun's not reliable, what's the point of putting all the bells and whistles on it that you see here if it's not going to function 100%? Now, a lot of people are going to be saying I shouldn't have done this review, I should have sent it to Wilson Combat and had it fixed first, but I'm of the opinion that they should make sure their guns work correctly before they leave the factory. Yes, I will give them a second chance, but I will definitely tell people that this can happen. Is this going to happen all the time? Are you going to have these reliability / 6-inch below accuracy issues? Probably not. Most likely not, right? The Wilson Combat wouldn't have the reputation they have right now if this was a common thing. But could it happen? Yes, it could, because it did happen to me. And when I buy guns like this, I don't tell people I have a YouTube channel or anything like that. I try to stay as anonymous as possible because I want to get the same performance, same customer service, things like that, that a normal person would get if they watch my reviews. That I wouldn't want them to be influenced by subscribers or advertising or anything like that. I want to make sure that I do this just to tell people the experiences that I've had with this product, and that's what I've done here. I bought this gun on the used market. Again, 200 rounds through it. So could this guy have messed it up somehow or maybe changed a spring? That's possible. Unlikely. Extremely unlikely, but possible. So I will be doing an update video. I think if I send this to Wilson Combat, if I get it back and it works awesome, if I don't do a full video, I'll certainly mention it in another video. But is this a great buy? It could be. If it worked accurately and reliably, it would be a great gun. Is it worth the money? That's up to you. Personally, I think if you're going to get a high quality 1911 and you want to get a really good one, there are cheaper options available that I think perform as well as this, or maybe even better than this. Again, I will mention the Dan Wesson Guardian. Another option, even though they're not popular in the news today, is going to be Springfield. Regardless of their political affiliations, and Springfield do make excellent 1911s, and so does Colt. There's lots of others as well. STI, kind of hit or miss sometimes, but for the most part, you can get a really good product as well. But again, for much less than this, I gotta say Dan Wesson's not a cheap gun. If you get a Dan Wesson Guardian, that's a $1,500 gun, right? But you can still get 2 of those for the price of this. And if you're not a 1911 guy and you're thinking about a carry gun, I really wouldn't recommend this Wilson Combat in particular as an option, considering you can get, let's say, 6 Glocks or, 7 CZP-10Cs, that kind of thing, for this same 1911. And if you really like 1911s, you don't care, I would recommend going with a full-size 1911. The myths about 1911 reliability, I think, are way blown out of proportion, honestly. Some people are going to tune in this video and say, well, it's a 1911, of course it had reliability problems. Well, I've had lots of full-size 1911s, especially, that were more reliable than a lot of the polymer wonder guns that come out today. It's just a matter of finding the right manufacturer, the right size, and the right caliber. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.